Alright folks, I'm going to introduce you to what I consider to be the most advanced data type that we're really going to work with here. It's called an array list, and an array list is pretty much exactly what you wish an array was. So arrays are really frustrating. If I'm going to create an array, I have to say something like this. And then I have to name it, and I have to say new array, and then here's the horrible part. I have to know how many dots I want. So this is the variable type here, and it's saying we want an array of dots. And we're going to call it dots array, or we could name it. Let's name it Steve actually, just so it's you can keep track. But the stupid part is I have to know how many dots I'm going to have. Well, if I don't know how many dots on my picture I want, this is completely useless, and I either have way too much RAM allocated for a bunch of dots that don't exist, or I don't have nearly enough RAM, and I end up running out of space. So we invent the array list, or actually the people who invented Java, who then processing is built on, built the array list. And the array list can get bigger and smaller, and as you take things out, it reorders itself. And so it's basically like the array everyone wanted. So we can have something dot 1, dot 2, dot 3, dot 4, and then if I decide to kill this one, it just erases it, and now I just have 1, 2, and 4, which is really, really nice, and you can't do that with arrays. With an array, you'd end up with an empty slot right here. And that empty slot would take up memory and be a big waste of time. So let's forget about arrays entirely here and just use array lists. So an array list is a fancy data type, and that means that you can declare a variable in array list. So right here we say the array list dots. So it's array list type, and notice we don't have to tell it what kind of things we're going to put in the list. That actually will end up being frustrating later, but with a normal array we'd have to say something like put a bunch of ints in there or something like that. With an array list you don't. And then we just say new, and then we call the array list constructor, which is of course called array list with brackets. You should be getting used to this way of building objects. And then we have some other variables here. We're going to go through this whole example in another video, but I just wanted to talk specifically about how we're going to use the array list here. We're going to set up our screen, and well, let me just show you what this program does. So here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make a beautiful picture here where you can make a bunch of dots and connect them with lines, but we don't know how many dots we're going to have. So we can have a bajillion dots. Okay, and then they all get connected with a line, and the whole thing looks really cool. And then we add some functionality. So because we have an array list and we know where we put this, we can actually click on it and drag it and grab it and move it around. So we can adjust our art. And then as you drag it, it turns darker. I don't know, this is just art here. I don't know why it does that. This isn't really a simulation of anything. And if you click on it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so you can kind of, in this way make some sort of art, I guess, is really what I'm trying to do. There's a final functionality here that if I hold on to one of these too long, it pops. So let me show you that again. If I hold on to this big fat one and it gets too dark, it pops, and then it sends me on to the next one. So we're getting to some pretty seriously interesting functionality here. And I wanted to show you this example because we're using the concept of the array list to the utmost here. We are allowing things to be added and removed from the screen, but the array list is keeping track of what they are. Okay, in the next video for these dots, I'm going to walk you through how I put dots on the screen and how we make them pop and things like that.